Today is the first ever man of God I call in our studio. And I'm so honored, like, when I have the privilege to sit at the feet of, men of God who have been anointed to deliver. I call him from the first day we had the call, the few minutes call. I said, man of God, what you do is you are actually spiritually delivering people, because it sounds to me like what he do can only be done by God. The way he really help couples find what is missing and fix it, even the time that he does it is, for me, is a special calling in such a time when a lot of homes are, at the verge of divorce or not talking to one another, or so many crises happening in the homes, which I'm deeply sorry to say is affecting a lot of children. Some of them have taken their lives. Some of them are at the verge of doing that, even as we speak. Some of them are depressed. Some of them are going through so much thing that forgive me, the adults are not really paying attention. And that is why having him on the studio last time, telling me what he do, I was like, no, there's no way you're not going to be part of this summit. It's only if you, refuse not to be on. And that is why I want to introduce, everyone here to our amazing speaker who is going to be our last speaker for the day 2. And also really want to take this opportunity to thank every one of you who have really been part of the summit for the last 2 days, like your comments, your love, your, paying attention to all that we bring in, just kind of like make me feel, yes, Lord, the call is happening and we're excited to serve. So in the house, we have Coach Rod, who happened to be a best-selling author. I'm not going to give you guys a lot about him because he's going to be telling you guys everything about him, and you'll be excited to hear all that he has done so far, the things he do miraculously, not just, as a coach, but some supernatural things he does. He's a content creator. I love that part. I want to be a good content creator when I grow old. So he is a professional content creator, and, he's going to be, taking us through that part. I love how he said, why be angry? That particular phrase was just it for me. When I saw all that he's doing and all he told me and what he's going to share here today, he won the relationship game where all you have to do is to do what? Win to play. You're just going to win because of all that he have out there. He's going to give you guys this. So he designed a why be angry to help couples stay together. I'm taking my time so that if you know any couple that need to hear from Coach Rod, please go call them right now. Tell them the coach is in the house so that they can come in and one issue at a time. So, Coach, with that said, I don't want to really, say all that, because I know there's so much to be said about you, but who better to tell the people who we have in the house than you? So I'm just going to open the floor for you to, connect with our community, let them know who you are, how you earn it, your journey, and how you can help them.
Thank you, Reverend Joy. I'm glad to be here. First, I'd like to start off by sharing with your audience how this all came about, how I got started. Okay. So, about 19 years or so ago, I was fortunate to meet a wonderful lady. And after a few years, we got married. And, but unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know at this point, after being married for about 10 years, I was unhappy. I know I was going through some depression, but I wanted out. I wanted a divorce. So my wife, being the person she is, she agreed to go to marriage counseling. So we went to marriage counseling, and the first 4 weeks of counseling, um, we didn't get much benefit out of it. They were just assessing us to see if we were suitable for counseling. Because if she was beating on me or if I were an alcoholic, then we'd need our individual counseling. So on the fifth week, they told us, yes, you guys are suitable for counseling. And we were going to get another 8 to 12 weeks of counseling. Well, on the fifth week, Joy, we got kicked out of counseling. I, I don't know if I had heard that before, but uh, it was my fault. I'll admit it. I was being stubborn. I didn't want to do this exercise that the counselor was asking us to do. Anyway, a couple of days later, I was looking at my beautiful wife and I said to myself, Lord, if I'm going to stay in this relationship, I need to see some progress right now. It's a shame we didn't get the benefit of another 8 to 12 weeks of counseling. So I sat down, Joy, and I started working on something I just wanted to help other couples not go through what my wife and I had experienced uh, with the counseling in over the last few years. Okay. And as I was doing that, I realized I didn't have any serious issues with my wife. I hadn't caught her lying or cheating or poisoning my food. I always say that, or anything like that. I realized that if we had been able to resolve our disagreements as they occurred, I wouldn't be in the predicament that I was in. Um, so what I did was just worked on something, and I think God just blessed me with it. Just come up with a way for couples to resolve their issues one at a time. And I call it couples coaching with instant results, because where we had gone 4 weeks and we're on our fifth week with no progress at all, when people sit down to play this game I created, they can get some immediate results. The wonderful thing about it is I've coached people who've had disagreements for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. On average, they are able to resolve their disagreements in less than 26 minutes. So it works really quickly. It just and and that's why I give God the credit, because I don't think I just could have come up with something that works every time like this does, and so fast and so well. Um, but to talk about this, there are three main ground rules, and I just believe at this point, if any couple fits these three main ground rules, they can play the game and they can win to resolve any disagreement they have. Okay. I've just seen it happen too many times. The first one is both people have to want to be in a relationship. They have to want the relationship to work. This is the kind of game that you can't win by yourself. The relationship has to win or you both lose. So as you can imagine, if one person was already checked out of the relationship and was seeing somebody else, then they're not encouraged for the relationship to win. The second ground rule is that they have to be honest about whatever they agree to talk about. Okay. If one person's going to be untruthful, then no type of counseling or support is going to help. And the third ground rule is that they need to be able to count to 14. There are just 14 simple steps in this game. And they're, for me, they're easy. And once you learn how to play the game, they're easy. They're just not really intuitive, because they're not the way we're used to resolving our disagreements over the last 10, 20, 40 years, or however long we've been arguing. But if they do that, it will work every time. Um, in the beginning, it's been almost 3 years now that I've been doing this. But in the beginning, I'd sit with a couple and I would tell them the first step is they have to agree on just one issue to resolve. That's a big part of why it works, is they're focusing on just one issue. He's not arguing with her about um, the way the food tastes, and she's not fussing with him at the same time about what their front yard looks like, if that's the roles they play. So they're focusing on one thing. Sidetrack. I just believe if two reasonable people have the same details in their head, they'll come up with the same reasonable conclusion if they are reasonably compatible. Okay. So, uh, and I don't mind talking a little bit about how the game works, if I could. Okay. So the first step is the couple has to agree on just one issue to resolve. Once they agree on that issue, they then have to convert that issue to a yes or no question. Okay. We're making it really simple. It's just a yes or no. And the issue I use most often is, should we buy a new car? Now, the game I recorded most often is, should she initiate sex? um, that's always good one. Anyway, so let's use the example of, should we buy a new car? So let's say the lady wants to buy a new car and the guy does not want to buy a new car. Next step is they're going to take the this one detail cards, which are part of the game, and she'll write down one detail to support her yes position on this issue. She might say, this car is ugly. And and then she'll take another card. You're only going to write one detail per card. She might take another card and say, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. Then she may take another card and say, this car is old. If she has 5 or 6 reasons why she wants a new car, she'll use a card for each reason. But the guy, he may say, my grandfather gave me this car. And that's one of his details. And he may say, hey, this car is old, but I can fix it if it breaks. And another one might be, no, we can't really afford it. So in this situation, they both have just 3 details. So what they're going to do, they'll each take their 3 details and they will rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most relevant, most important to this issue. This car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. That might be a 10 to her. It being ugly might be 8, and the car being old might be a 6 to her. But for him, his granddad giving him that car might be a 9 to him, and it being old might be a 7. And let's say not being able to afford a car, that wasn't really a big deal. That was a 4. Then what they're going to do, Joy, is they'll take all 6 of these cars, they will put them together in one stack, and they'll stack them in order of importance, 10s being most on top. And they'll take that top card. Now what they've done is they've taken this issue of, should we buy a new car, and they've broken it down to 6 details. And now they're going to focus on just one detail at a time. So they're really focusing here. So, and they're not going to talk about the other details at all if possible. So now she's going to do, so there's 14 steps on this card, okay? She's going to, since it's her card, she'll take it and she'll tell him what she wrote and how important it is to her. She might say, this card was broken down 3 times in the last 2 months, and that's a 10 to me. Now the next steps, Joy, are the most important steps in the game. Steps 4 and 5. He has to repeat back to her what he believes she means in his own words. Ideally, you'll start with, so what you're saying to me is. So you may say something like, so, oh yeah, and he has to follow that with, is that right? Because he has to make sure he understands her. What this does, Joy, is it allows her to feel heard. And when he responds to her later, he can respond to what she actually means, not something he thinks she means, okay? So he's going to say, so what you're saying to me is, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. So that embarrasses you. Is that right? And she'll probably say, no. So you say, okay, so what you're saying to me is, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months, so you don't feel safe. She'll say yes. Now they're on the same page and they can continue the conversation with him understanding what she means. The next step is this detail, this detail is or is not true. But now he has to say whether this detail is true. You'd be surprised how often the other parties say it's not true. And as you can imagine, it's hard for a couple to agree on the issue when they don't agree on the details of the issue, right? So he may say, this is not true. So now the next step, he's going to say how relevant this detail is to him, that she doesn't feel safe. He's probably going to say a 10. Now, the next step, step 8 of 14 steps, he has to write down a response. And he has to write it first. What this does, Joy, it slows the communication and gives him a chance to think. instead of just coming back with some quick emotional response or something that she might consider stupid or offensive. So he may say, "Hey, didn't know you didn't know you felt unsafe in the car. I thought as long as I came and picked you up, everything was fine." And the reason why I say it's not true is because we can buy a brand new car, and if you run over a nail, you're going to end up on the side of the road, which is what happened one time. Anyway, so he's done. Now, steps 9 and 10 on her side, and she's going to turn around. 9 and 10 are just like 4 and 5, the most important steps of the game. She has to repeat back to him what she believed he needs in her own words, and then follow with, is that right? So she'll do that. And then step 11 is next. Here they have a focused discussion debate where they focus on this one detail of the issue and just talk about it back and forth. And he may say again, "I didn't know you felt unsafe about it." And she might say something like, "We just need to get a new car, you know. You don't have to sell this car. We just need another dependable car." Anyway, almost done here. Step 12, he has to say what he took from this interaction. Ideally, he'll start with, "I feel better because that keeps them moving in a positive direction." He'll say, "I feel better because now I understand why you're so stressed about this car." And then step 13, she does the same thing. She'll say, "I feel better because," a lot of times the lady will say, "I feel better because I feel heard." Okay. They finally feel heard. Now, let me, I'll come back to the last step. Super Bowl weekend, I was sitting with a couple, and and this lady had been bending my ear back for 2 years about the dysfunction in her marriage. Okay. So I went and sat with them, and I helped them resolve 9 issues in less than 12 hours. 9. And that included them taking us to lunch and driving me around town, showing me the leftovers of Hurricane Iona or something that came a year or two ago. Anyway, after we had resolved the fourth issue, the lady says, "I don't understand. I'm not saying anything now that I haven't said 100 times before." And I said, "Well, April, he's hearing you now. And you're giving it to him in a way that he can hear." "Well, I'm still saying the same thing." I said, "Well, April, you have to realize that if you're telling him something for the 100th time, you're probably not saying it with the same attitude and the same tone as you did the first and second time. And he's probably hearing and feeling that, and his defenses are going up. Or if you're telling him something for the 50th time, even though he may need to be told because you guys haven't fixed the problem yet," excuse me, um, he may feel nagged. So he's like shutting you out. So, but what this game does, it provides a structured door that allows, Reverend Door, that allows couples to just communicate clearly so they can hear each other and they can resolve these disagreements quickly. Excuse me. So, um, another thing I want to point out, whenever I sit with a couple, I always insist that they say, "So what you're saying to me is," when they do steps 4 and 5 or 9 and 10. And that's because once they learn how to play, they don't have to sit down and play the game. They can play it walking around the house. So if she does something that he finds a little offensive and he says something to her about it, she can say, "So what you're saying to me is," and that will put them both in a mind frame of, we're just playing the game. So remember, in this game, it's not the kind of game that you can win by yourself. The relationship has to win or you both lose. So when one of them says, "So what you're saying to me is," it'll let the other person know, "I'm not attacking you, so you don't have to be defensive. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying." And they can continue with the calm attitude that will help them resolve whatever this issue is. Anyway, the last step, step 14, is a 2 parts. And here the couple has to agree, was there any progress with this one detail card, which was this card's broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. And most of the time they'll say yes. And the second part of it is, was there enough progress to resolve the issue? And Joy, you'll be surprised that most of the time, the vast majority of the time, the couple resolves the issue on the first card. They can have 11 cards, but they're going to resolve it on the first card. And I suspect that's because, one, we tackle the most important detail of this issue right up front. She didn't come in the house and say, I'm sick of this car. We need to buy another car. And he goes, why? It's ugly. And then he says, well, why? We can get it painted. And then she say, it's old. And then he'll say, my granddad gave me this car. I told you I wasn't selling it. And then tomorrow she'll come back and say, you know what? This car's broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. Well, at this point, he's going to feel nagged because he thought they resolved it yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to tackle the main detail of the issue first, and then all the other details usually don't really matter so much. And that's it. I think that's why they are able to resolve these issues so quickly. Now, the other thing is that's important, I think, is one of the reasons why one person doesn't hear the other person is because they're not presenting it at the right time. If he's in the middle of the football game and she comes in, I'm sick of this car, then he's probably not going to be focused on what she's saying, right? But if he has agreed to sit down, or if she has agreed to sit down and talk about it, then they have each other's undivided attention. And again, not only do you have each other's undivided attention, you're on the same team, right? He's not the problem. The issue is the problem. We're working together to resolve the issue. So if we want to win, if we want our relationship to win, we have to, be on the same page and on the same team to tackle the problem that's going on right now. But, any questions for me?
I'm here telling myself, what a way. I like how you concluded it. Like the good thing about it is you bring them to the place of settling. It's not like somebody's watching, like I watched a clip the other day, this guy here killing himself with this game he was watching. The girlfriend came in and started saying how I bought you this, I bought you that. The guy like, okay, I'll check it. And in front of her girlfriend, she get offended that the guy did not jump and say, thank you. But like you said, as a coach, that guy was watching something when you came in. And he's so carried away by the way like his team was losing. And the lady did the worst thing. When the guy wasn't giving her attention, she off the TV. Oh my God. you know,
Right.
she did the worst thing. And that was it. The guy snapped like, where are you crazy? Blah, 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 blah. And the girlfriend was, that's the kind of boy you deal with and all that. I was like, in my spirit, like being a coach like you, I'm like, what if the world should make you off the guy's TV?
Mm-hmm.
This guy was all over this, his team is losing, he's going on like that. No, but like the process is what you said. I love that. The very first step is that two of them have to agree to resolve it. So once they agree, you can get them to a settled place. Like they're going to sit down, or even if they stand up, but they are into what we're doing now.
Right.
This is what we're going to do. This is the game. And they are going to be able to hear one another. Because most time as women, we think they hear us. You guys hear us. But what if, likewise men too, just running and they start saying something and you are busy actually doing something. You didn't hear him. He didn't hear you, and the problem continues.
Right.
So I believe that's a powerful strategy that you're using on the couples, and the ability to slow them down.
Enjoy. I mentioned to you before how in the beginning I would sit down with a couple, and often I would say, "Oh, I don't know if this is going to work this time," when they tell me the issue they want to resolve. But
Mm-hmm.
now I would bet my right arm that it will work for anything. I mean, I've just had several instances. Like even the one where I went and sat with a couple where the lady had been bending her ear back for a couple of years. The first the first game they played was the first of the 9 games was, oh, should he stop? Does he drink too much, or should he stop drinking so much? Now she said that had been a problem for like 25 years,
Mm.
and they resolved it right away. And I know the last one was, should we split the bills 50-50? She said that had been an issue for 9 years because she'd been carrying all the weight since 2015. So I really, with this game, I've been able to tackle some, I mean, couples have been able to tackle some really, really serious issues. And I'm
Mm.
not let me say this, I'm not a therapist. I don't have any psychological training. That's why I feel like I was just, again, blessed with this. But the point is, if a regular guy, my master's degree is in software engineering, so that has nothing to do with this. But if a regular guy can come up with something like this, then it's probably going to be easy enough for regular people to play and resolve. Okay, I I did on I did the next one that comes to mind where I didn't think the couple was going to resolve it is I went to see this one couple, and they were going to be married soon. They had 4 kids, Joy, and their issue was, should we spank the kids? And so the guy said he grew up getting his tail whooped, and but the girl, they never got whoopings in her house. But that wasn't the tough part. The tough part was all 4 of the kids were hers. So I was like, oh, I don't know how we're going to resolve this one. But they did. They knocked it right out. I did this one couple where they were actually over the marriage ministry at a large church, at their church. And I went to see them, and the guy had stepped out because he was gonna on the patio to do something. And the lady, she said, I know what we ought to do, but no need even talking about that, she said. And I said, what? I mean, I've seen this thing work over and over again. She said, no need talking about it. Every time it comes up, it's just a big fight. I said, what is it? She said, they were in Georgia. She said, he's been working in North Carolina for 10 years, over 10 years. And he comes home every weekend. And she said, but every time that comes up about him moving back home, it's a fight. So when the guy comes back in, I told him, hey, we have to agree on one issue to settle. And I said, your wife mentioned something about you working in North Carolina. He said, okay, we can talk about that. And Joy, they knocked it out right away. It just works. Look, I was in Thanksgiving. I was in Philadelphia, and a guy invited me onto his podcast, and he was pretty skeptical. And I told him, I said, hey man, you can invite a couple on the show, and we'll demonstrate it right there on your show. He said, okay. He invited a couple on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the couple came on, and hey, you guys have to agree on one issue to settle. Well, the issue, she said, well, that's good because we have an issue right now. And she said, should your mom live with us? And I was like, oh my goodness. And the guy was saying, my mom is homeless. And I was like, oh, like he's gonna have to choose between his mom and
Oh.
his wife. But Joy, they knocked it out. It just works every time. I haven't come across one yet that wouldn't wouldn't work. I even
Mhm.
about 3 weeks ago, actually maybe it's yeah, about 3 weekends ago, I sat with 2 people. They were not a couple. It was a mother son. So the son was 27 years old, and they had been on the outs for about 10 years. The lady said she hadn't seen him for a couple years, and he had her blocked on his phone where she couldn't even talk to him. The kicker was Christmas, I guess through his brother's phone, he told her that, or he said he wished she was dead. So I was like, oh my goodness, he wished she was dead. I told her, I'll talk to him. I don't know if he'll meet with us, but if he meets with us, I'm pretty sure we can knock it out. He,
Mm-hmm.
he met with us, Joy, and when we first sat down, now they resolved 5 issues that day. Okay, when 5 different issues. When we sat down, he was calling her by her first name. He wasn't even calling her mom. And that was like pricking me in my heart. I was like, oh my goodness. But halfway through it, he was calling her mom again. And by the end of the day, they parted ways with I love yous and hugs. Okay. So it was really good. And then on the way home, she was talking to me um, on the phone and she was like, oh my God, oh my God. I said, what? She said, oh my God, he texted me. He must have unblocked me. And I said, well, I don't know how that works. Text him back and see if he gets it and text you something back. And she texted him and he texted her back like, uh, good to see you. I love you. Something like that. Have a safe trip. So that was really, really good. And like
Amazing.
we talked for like 45 minutes. And every 10 minutes she would say, did I tell you my son text me? Did I tell you my son
Mm.
text me? She's like she was more excited about that than anything for the whole day. But it just works. I haven't met anything, like I said, if they fit those 3 ground rules and if they follow the steps, it will work every time. It's just kind of work.
You have the touch though. It's not
Yeah,
following the step.
it, it,
You
it,
have the touch, you have the grace. Is
it,
a
it's
gift
good.
from
It is good to have me coaching because, like I said, sometimes it's not intuitive. I was in Ohio um, the day before yesterday, and I coached a couple, and I thought they were going to do it on because she mentioned he knows everything or he's always right, and I thought that's the one we're going to do, but they end up doing the issue they end up playing was um, sh- should he follow up on the thing she asked him to do,
Mhm.
and while they were playing, he tried to get off track and say, well, first let's do this. And I had to say, wait, we have to stay focused on this one card. So that's all I do. When I coach
Yes.
couples, I never have a dog in the fight. All I do is I'm sort of a referee. I make sure they follow the steps. If they follow the steps, they're going to be okay. So,
Mm.
yeah.
I still believe it's a touch from heaven because I know so many people, just nobody can talk to them, nobody can bring them together. No, even as you said, you guys went for 5 weeks for the church
Mhm.
counseling. So many marriages have actually gone in just by even going to counseling. I have a lady right here. She's right here in New York right now. And they went to counseling, multiple counseling. By the end of the day, she packed up from the island and came up here,
Mm,
just like that. It didn't work. Her
right.
mind was made up and that was it. They went to counseling like more than, if you ask me, it took like a couple months.
Yeah.
But
A
the
lot of
more they
times.
go, the more the pastor gets in trouble, the more they end up more angry. Whatever it was they were doing, I don't know. But
Yeah.
trust me, you always feel like something very not easy to do. So to do it in an hour, in a couple hours for so many issues, that's like the coaching you and a supernatural gift, I call it.
I, I, I love it. I love doing
Yes,
it. And
yes.
especially when I see a couple, you know, they're on the brink of going their own ways. Like this lady with the 9 issues we resolved, she was pretty much out the door. I talked to her one time and she said, I'm looking for a place now. And I said, just wait for me. I'll trust me. I can help you. A lot of
Mm.
times people think that their partner is different and all of this stuff. And really, it's It's not. You know, I want to say this too. So many times, well, I don't want to say so many times, but a lot of times, couples would say something like they are good communicators,
Mm-hmm.
and they may they may articulate well, but they aren't really good communicators. They don't listen well, and because sometimes when they have to say, "So what you're saying to me is that right?" and the other person say no, and they have to do this 4 or 5 times sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can imagine, when you're having a heated argument, you don't get the benefit of getting that kind of clarity.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And look, the other issue that I see that happens a lot is sometimes your spouse or your partner don't even know there's an issue. The issue that you have, they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, l- Last year, I ran into a guy. It was Juneteenth weekend, and it was a Saturday, and and I was telling him what I've been doing because I haven't seen him for like 25 years. And he said something about it. And I said, hey man, sometimes people don't even know they have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next day I was having a YBAngry party. This is what I call it when more than one couple get together and play the game together. It's like a little party. And I invited him. So he showed up and they played the game. Their issue was they go to my YBAngry channel. Their issue was should he have purchased that car? Well, this guy, he does Lyft and Uber, and he makes good money doing it. And but the wife was bothered that he had bought a new car. Come to find out, and I guess it had been 3 months or something like that. Um, she was bothered because she thought he had used their vacation money to buy the car. You know, she was looking forward to going to Hawaii, and then when he came with his new car, she thought that had ruined the vacation. So for 3 months or however long it had been, she's been kind of having a little attitude, and he didn't even know. He didn't even know. So after they played the game, he said, I didn't even know this was an issue. I said, see, I just told you yesterday, sometimes you don't know it's an issue. So the game, this is what the game looks like. It's just a little booklet. The
Mm-hmm.
game makes it easy, and the game has these cards in it.
Okay.
The game makes it easier for couples to present a problem. For example, you know, as you can imagine, if the lady says, we need to talk, then he knows it's going to be a problem and an issue, and he gets kind of defensive. But if she says, hey, honey, let's play YBAngry, you know, then that's a game that we're going to play and we're going to have a little fun. It's a total
Mm-hmm.
different attitude for both people.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes, and you're 100% right, because to me, attitude is one of the worst ways to settle anything with anyone. You know, even a child, the worst thing to do is to bring attitude to whatever you want to, like get this person to hear. Sometimes they don't hear you, and that creates more things, more things, more things, and
mhm.
before you know it is over. Anyway, got into my first daughter. Anywho, it's been good as always, and I know everyone that is gonna be, we've had a very full day today. You're the last in the studio, and we are so happy that we're closing with a bang. I call like something money cannot buy.
Right.
So, guys, there's a way. And if you ask me, you can actually even practice all the global family that are joining us. You can, like, if you can get him to sit down, who knows? You guys can have a good conversation.
Right.
Yeah, believe me, because that's what coach is saying is make sure you guys want to solve it. That's one. Two, if you can get him to sit down, even
Mhm.
maybe 11 years old can make some card for you and have you go through what you're going through. I'm just making joke, but trust me, is if you can get him to sit down. So, but anyway, I'm gonna let the coach tell you guys how to work with him if you know anyone that need the help, especially here in the state, because the good thing about him is he can make out time and come to you. That's the best part. Come to your state, your city, and help you or tell you how he do it. But he's been helping people. I call it a supernatural healing in couple's life. It's not just ordinary healing. This is like a supernatural encounter these couples are having, and they are being released from whatever it is that want to destroy them. Because I'm not saying that every divorce is a destruction, no. But I'm saying that if you have a way to solve, why not? Because, hey, whatever reason you married that woman or that man is something that you can remember again. And if there's a process to come back together, if you haven't gone so far, you're not divorced yet, you're still there, but you're looking help, then the coach is willing to help you. So tell them.
Hey, Joy, let me say this really quick. Um, I did a podcast a couple weeks ago, and the lady said, "Well, this probably doesn't work in domestic violence or something like that." She said. I said, "Well, I think it will." I'm not putting the blame on the the abused person, but I'm assuming that the abuser gets triggered some kind of way. Maybe they're
Mhm.
abusing physically or verbally because they don't know how to communicate, right?
Mhm.
So maybe if the abused is able to sit down and play the game and teach the abuser how to communicate, there maybe there'll be less violence in the house. So I just want to encourage people that are in that environment to maybe show the abuser another way to get their point across. Because in most relationships, one person is either more dominant or more articulate or more aggressive,
Mm.
and they're able to get their points across better.
Yeah.
But this really levels the playing field because
Sure.
you have to say, what you're saying to me is that right? And it allows both people to get their points across. And without this totally removes all the negative emotions from the
Yes.
game. I mean, from the discussion.
Mm.
Okay. Anyway, if people want to reach me, they can go to uh, YBAngry.com.
Yes.
YBAngry.com. I want to encourage your listeners and your watchers. Near the top, there's a link where they can click to get 3 free tips. They click that link and just give me the email address. I will email them a short video of how to resolve disagreements without arguing. Okay. And that'll be a big benefit for them if they just know how to resolve disagreements without arguing a little bit.
Mhm.
Also, if they want to buy the game or if they want to get my book, they can get it from there. And also, I my if they go to YouTube, YBAngry, if they search that on YouTube, you'll see a ton of videos of couples resolving all kind of disagreements. I have sex more often category. I have finances and big purchases category. I have raising kids category. There's a communication category, and
Mhm.
there's a couple of others. I can't think of what they are, but there's a bunch of videos you can actually see couples playing the game, and and none of these people are any smarter than your listeners are. You can do it. You just have to be honest about what you're talking about and want the relationship to work and be able to count to 14. The, the steps are on the card.
Yes.
Okay? And if they need me, if they feel like they need a personal touch, there's a link on there too where they could click and reach out to me and
Sure.
see what we need to do to help them out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. That's powerful. YBAngry.com. Can be simpler, right? You don't have
Right.
to think about it. It's the letter Y, the letter B, then angry.com. I love it. I love it. That alone, that alone might be, or if you ask me, unleash these couples when they see that why be angry. Am I angry? But they're angry.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they're angry.
Yeah.
And sometimes they might not even know they're angry. They're
Right.
just living and just being angry to one another, not resolving anything.
This is designed to keep you from being angry. I went to sit with one couple, and I told them, hey, the first step is you have to agree to focus on one issue to resolve. and they were going back and forth a little bit. And I said, well, the couple yesterday did it on should we buy a new dryer? And
Mm-hmm.
the couple I'm sitting in front of said, well, that's not, one of them said, that's not a big deal. I said, well, yes, it is. If you're the person that has to kick this dryer once a week, or, you might not feel like putting as much love in the food that day or having sex that night, if that's the role you play. And then if it's a lady and the man comes in with a new power tool, she might have an attitude. What are you doing with a new power tool? She don't even know why she have an attitude. She's still
Yes.
inside a little frustrated about this dryer she had to kick today.
Yes.
So I believe little issues permeate into, other issues and bigger issues
Yeah.
in our life. So if we
Yes.
take care of every little thing as they come up, our bond to grow stronger and we'll just stay together forever.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. I like that part. I like that part. And you see how that couple quickly pick up. They're fighting for that, but it's the little things that
Right.
that created all the other big things. That's true. That's so true. So even good, we're almost at the end of the hour, which we are with you. We really thank you for coming. And hey, as I said earlier, if you know any couple that need this help, run and send them the website because that's going to help them and link them with a YouTube, channel. And let's just help people. Let's help people. And you want to work one-on-one with our coach. He's open. You can actually message him on Facebook too, I guess, because he's on Facebook. Just search his name and get him and like, okay, somebody need help, I need help, what to do, how to do. And the coach is gonna be ready to help you.
All
So I
right.
just want, yes,
Let me give a little bit more besides those three free tips. When I sit down with people, they do pay good money. But what I want to offer your listeners, and if you have a couple that you would like to demonstrate on your show one day,
sure.
charge, I'll be glad to do that. So you just
Wow.
you pick a couple that has a problem they want to settle, and we'll do it live on your show.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm honored. Oh my God. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm excited. I'm ready. I just need to find a couple. So, hey, you watching this, you're going to reach out to me and say, okay, coach, I having stress. I want to try this or I believe in this. Let us know so we can tell you how to tell your husband because I know it's mostly women here. And because I know coach will have approach to actually reach to your husband too. He's gonna let us know how to get your husband on the show and how we can help you. I really want to help many people going forward till I die. That's just one of the things I strongly believe I am called to do, to be that, like the middle, for all the leaders, all the women that really want to get a fulfilling life. So thank you, coach.
All right. All right.
Thank you. So
Great.
before we go, we just need that powerful wisdom phrase, word, sentence that you're gonna leave my audience with.
Uh, that would be, I think, I just want people to know that out of all the issues that I've helped couples resolve, every single time, Reverend Dore, every single time, it's always come down to communication.
Mm,
Every time, because it's just a game of words. Okay. And people are able to talk to each other in a way that they're both able to feel heard. Okay. So it's always been, they don't have to do anything, they don't have to take anything. They just sit there and talk to each other with a little coaching. And before you know it, the issue is resolved. So it's really always, so no matter how bad you think it is, no matter what the problem is, if you want to be together, if you're going to be honest and talk about it, and you can count to 14, you can resolve it. I've done a lot of them. They're like, oh, I don't know if they can settle that, but it's always come down to being able to talk and being able to hear. Like I said, a lot of times the lady just wants to feel heard. She don't feel like he heard her, and he might have physically, but he didn't. internalize it or didn't have empathy because you presented it wrong, or you might have presented it at the wrong time, or he might have just taken it uh, uh, defensively. So if you just present it right, it can, anything can be, all this stuff can be settled. So,
Love it.
all right.
Communication. Yes. So learn to communicate with your spouse.
Right.
Oh, I can imagine how many people home went in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't think it's communication. They think it's him or he think it's her.
Yes.
But really,
Yes.
you fell in love with that person for a reason. And if you just were able to talk to them and understand and listen to them at the same time,
Yes.
you'll work it out. Here
Yes.
we got one person talking at a time. It just provides structure to the communication, and it'll work. I'm still amazed every
I'm
time
telling you. I'm
I
telling you.
study something.
I can't wait. I have to get this couple that need this help
Yeah,
and have you back. I know they will supernaturally be helped. I
yeah.
just believe that it's possible.
Just have you,
And it's been,
yeah, just
yeah,
have you do your thing and ask couples to apply for it or whatever, and you're going to give away a free some happiness. Giving them some peace in their relationship because that's what happens. They're able to have peace now,
yes.
and so you can do that through the game, and I'll sit here and coach them via Zoom or something. You know.
Wow. Powerful,
All right.
powerful. Thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate all that you've done for us today. And ladies, don't forget to share this. And hey, it's our assignment. We need to help somebody this season. So bring it on. I'm searching, you ladies are searching so we can help these couples. Remember, you don't have to be one couple. I have the grace to bring one, but we can bring multiple couples to be released from this, thing that is really affecting children. I don't know, but I just know that as adults are making these decisions to fight and not living happily is affecting a lot of children. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
When I did my TED talk, I started off by saying, uh, if we basically we learned how to resolve our disagreements, couples will stay together longer. The divorce rate will go down, and we have fewer kids growing up in single parent homes. And with that, I believe we'll have fewer teenage pregnancies, less high
mhm,
school dropout, less teenage
yes,
drug abuse and gang affiliation and incarceration. And another thing is, I believe when people are happy at home, they'll come to work happier. I believe the quickest way to reduce stress in the workplace is to reduce the amount of stress your employees bring to work. You know, so if we can just help people learn how to resolve their disagreements at home with their most important relationship, with their partner or their spouse, then there will be everything will just be better.
yes, I 100% agree. 100% agree. So thank you, Coach. That will be it. We're just gonna say bye-bye to
All right.
everyone on Facebook. Thank you, ladies, for staying with us till the end of the day. And see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Don't forget, it's gonna be our last day celebration. And I know I have a good news for you guys tomorrow with so much that we've shared already. So much is coming tomorrow and going forward. So see you, ladies, tomorrow.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
All right, let me